Refuse to walk my son's fiancée down the aisle and call her my daughter despite her relentless insistence and emotional pressure. I, 41 male, have 2 kids with my ex-wife, 42F, a son John 22 and daughter Sally, 20, I'm remarried to my wife, 28. I'm very close with my kids, my son is engaged to Abby, she seems nice but has been a bit pushy trying to create relationships with me and my wife, though she's also awkward with her. Abby isn't close to her family, she told us many stories why, and while some of her complaints don't seem awful, it's not my place to judge and I didn't live it so I can't know anyway. We've tried to be welcoming but Abby has forced her way into some family traditions where she wouldn't have been invited, and some where no one outside of specific family would have. She has been calling Sally sis since they were only dating a few months, has an odd sister/mother-in-law thing she does with my wife, and the one I'm not a fan of, wants me to be like father to her. Not because we've clicked or anything. We are very different people, not saying that in a bad way, just saying it's not based on how we get along or anything. My kids and I have a tradition when they come over that we have a private catch-up in my office/study before they leave, which is now even more important to them because while they both get along well with my wife they don't want to have personal conversations around her yet. Abby asked if we could talk, and after I explained the tradition John later asked that I do it, saying she'd never had a caring conversation with her dad. We compromised that I didn't include her in the tradition but do join the 2 of them for coffee and let her talk. Then she started calling me dad, they weren't even engaged yet. John pulled me aside and begged me to give her that, laid this whole thing on me about me always being the dad she always wanted right in front of her and she just wanted that, told me she cried watching me and Sally together, she still gives me random hugs, I'm a lucky dad. I didn't like it but I do feel bad so fine I gave her that. She wants me to walk her down the aisle in the father/daughter dance. I don't want to walk her down, and I walk with a cane so dancing is hard. At my own wedding I only danced twice. John is begging for me to do one, preferably the aisle. They came over Sunday, John and I were talking, I thought to address it, when Ab walked in without knocking, asking if he'd told me yet. I asked what, John said she wanted me to say something about having a second daughter now in my speech and how I loved her. I just looked at him. She asked if I'd do the walk and dance for Sally, I said of course. She yelled she's my daughter too and I said it will never be the same, Sally is my actual daughter. I tried to explain I'd talk about her being a happy addition to the family and I love how happy she makes Jack, which I thought was a good compromise, but she started crying. John apologized and they left, but he called me when they were home nearly begging me to. Ida because I won't lie and say I love her or she's my daughter. Update 1. I had planned on sharing this sooner, but life got busy in a couple of unexpected, excellent ways. Still, so much has happened that I need to get it all out. Here goes. On Mother's Day, my kids and their partners went to visit my ex-wife. That's when I found out just how close Abby and my ex really are. Abby calls her mom, which explains a lot about what would unfold. Evidently, my ex has been encouraging Abby in this. During their conversation about the wedding, every time Abby mentioned me, she called me dad. My son told her to let it go, which escalated into shouting. Abby insisted she deserved to be my daughter, my ex chimed in to agree, my son tried to defend me and told Abby she should be realistic, and Sally, my daughter, snapped that I only had one daughter. That was a direct response to Abby proposing that the daughters be united. According to my son, Abby was in tears. According to Sally, she was crying, shouting, and even kicked something before storming to her room. Later, Sally told me she went off on her mom, but Sally, being Sally, refused to spill the details, which, knowing her, was probably explosive. Then, around 2 a.m., I got a text from Sally's partner's phone. Abby really is great, she hasn't been perfect but you should give her a chance and you will learn to love her. I saw it in the morning and tried to text back, but I discovered I was blocked. I called Sally, but they were on the road. Later, they stopped by since I'm conveniently on their way, and honestly, because my daughter prefers my cooking and liquor. That's when I was able to hear all about the previous night. After listening, I asked to speak to Sally's partner alone. I wanted to know if I'd upset her. She insisted I hadn't, but when she checked her phone, she saw I was indeed blocked. Then I brought up the mysterious message, which was no longer on her phone. I showed her what I'd received, and she looked confused, it had vanished from her device. So we brought Sally back into the conversation. Neither of them were thrilled with what was going on. A few days later, John and Abby showed up at my house without warning, which isn't really a thing we do in this family, but I went along with it. I had salmon ready already, doesn't take long, so I cooked 2 more. My wife served while I made drinks. The whole evening, Abby kept forcing the subject of the wedding. John tried to deflect, but she wouldn't drop it. We ended up discussing logistics, since I have some professional contacts helping them with deals. Suddenly Abby just blurted out, so I was talking to Mom, she said that you can walk me down the aisle and she'll do the dance, or you dance and she'll walk. It's your call but you need to choose soon. I made it clear, again, that I can't dance and wasn't comfortable walking her. She got upset and asked, Mom loves me, why can't you? I felt awful, but I couldn't lie. I reminded her she had John, my ex-wife, friends, she had people who loved her. She protested, but other than ex-wife, those aren't my parents. I had to tell her, neither am I. She was emotional, so my wife and I gave them space. Later, my son and I ended up alone. He looked exhausted. He told me that after Mother's Day, Abby had called Sally repeatedly, insisting they were both my daughters, that I couldn't be close to one and not the other. Abby declared it was them against me. At that point, Sally lost it. Words were exchanged, grievances aired. John had to hang up before it became a disaster. Apparently Abby was shaken, but now she'd become convinced I didn't mean anything I'd said and that it was all for Sally's sake. My son assured me he would handle it. Spoiler alert, he did not. Now, I receive text messages from Abby every couple of days, as if we have some secret, special, relationship Sally knows nothing about. She's even called herself my secret daughter, and lolled about it. She recently invited my wife to lunch, calling it 2 out of 3 of his girls going out. She started showing up at events, like a recent barbecue, insisting on dad-daughter content, long hugs, insisting on photos with just me, or with my wife and I, but always a set with just me for her social media, with captions that make me uncomfortable. My wife is reaching the end of her patience because of this, especially after Abby surprised her with Father's Day plans for me that we had to shut down. Even so, my wife has a soft spot for her. When Abby gets emotional, she can't keep up her defenses. She's a sweetheart, and that just adds to the chaos. I checked with my son if he was upset with me. He said no, he just wished things were different. He's mainly worried about his relationship with Sally, though, so I suggested, the only wise move I could think of, premarital counseling. He agreed he'd discuss it with her. Now Abby is demanding Sally go to her wedding fitting. Honestly, that shop should sell tickets to whatever showdown happens there. Sally isn't hiding how she feels about any of this anymore. I reassured my son that Sally loves him and I'd talk to her, but right now, the stress level in this family is at a record high. Abby has driven my wife crazy with her endless my girls plans, driven me crazy with non-stop dad-daughter content, driven Sally to the edge, and just last night, she sent me an email with 3 styles of father-daughter dances and potential songs. So, I'm feeling as unheard and disrespected as ever. The 6 of us have barely managed to be in the same room since Father's Day, which was great, until it was a disaster. With all the chaos, I know this is the abridged version, but it's still a lot. Friday, we're supposed to all meet. Sally's partner and I actually have a bet going about how disastrous it will be. All I want is some peace, and if anyone knows just how bad a crime I'd need to commit to qualify for witness protection, I'd seriously consider it. Update 2. I have gotten requests for updates on my situation, and as I enjoy a refreshing mojito and my wife her no-jito, life feels good and the perfect time to amuse the world with my pain and familial drama. Plus a cousin of mine who apparently reads these and knows my situation gave me the convincing argument of dude, you can't keep people hanging and how can I argue with that airtight argument? I apologize for how long this is, a lot has happened. My wife's pregnancy is going well, keeping her as stress-free and pampered as possible has been my focus. It is such a different experience this time, both because of how much more involved I can be and how much better a relationship I have with my wife than I had with my ex. My daughter Sally has been great, even her partner has been great, helping with the nursery or driving her around when I can't. My wife doesn't know because it is a surprise, but my son has been building a crib for the baby, modeled after the one I built for him and his sister, to show my wife his support. My son is a good man, and he is still in there, he just has a soft spot for Abby. Which I guess gets us to the part of the movie where Godzilla shows up and starts busting up buildings. So I called a family meeting with my kids to talk about the situation. Told John his sister was only doing wedding activities she wanted to and that the guilting requests needed to stop, that this was hurting his relationship with his sister. Sally was happy I said it so she did not have to yet again. I told him if he did not stop her from messaging me I would block her with a bluntly honest explanation why. We got a lot out, John seemed to understand but then a few days later they insisted on coming to talk. Sally and I decided we would get everything out. So all of us ate at our place. Abby started in immediately about baby shower stuff and I told that is the kind of thing we wanted to talk about. I told her that I understood she has been trying to fill a hole that she has, that she thought she was getting a father, a second mother, she calls my ex-wife mom apparently, and a sister. I told her it was still possible but that she needed to start listening to us. I told her that for the sake of family we would give her a fresh start, if she agreed that moving forward she would respect our boundaries. My daughter did not love this idea but loves her brother and was willing to try. Abby tried to say that since we were starting over we could define what the relationship would be and just be family. We told her we were not ready for that it needs to happen organically. She got mad that I am closer with my daughter's partner, which is true but we just get along, and that she deserved it for trying so hard. My daughter said something about trying things we actually want. She ran to our bathroom, he ran after her. After a while I checked on him, I could hear her repeating this is not what I wanted. My wife, daughter, and her partner went out to the patio to give them privacy and salvage the night. After a bit I got a text saying they had just left. I checked in with him the next day and he said they talked more at home and she understood. For a couple of weeks things were good. The text stopped except the occasional wedding question, since it was getting closer. She stopped pushing herself on my wife and Sally, and we thought was involving us in less in wedding planning out of respect, since as it was they only got the venue at the rate they did because of my professional connections and they know I was willing to help but not interested in helping plan, even if I'm good at event planning. But then I got a call from the venue telling me the card I used had been declined. Now this is a specific card I use for big purchases because of the miles, so I knew it had a high limit. That was how I learned that they had changed dates by 2 months despite being informed I would still be out much of the money because it was too close to the date. I was furious. I mean, I have been lucky in life financially, but I am not blow-off deposits like nothing wealthy. Called my son, said he needed to get his ass to the house, just him. They both came. When they arrived I opened the door. She actually started with, "Dad." I think I just replied, "You have got to be effing kidding me," and walked toward the table. Abby had the nerve to ask where dinner was. My response was not polite as I made it clear that was not why they were here. I hoped my son would not lie to me, so I asked what was going on with the venue. She started going into wedding details, but my son interrupted to tell me they postponed because my ex-wife was unavailable because of a surgery, and he had not told me because he was putting money together to pay the lost money himself, and he had just reached out to guests to let them know. And that is when Abby's mouth opened. We have extra time to work on our dance. Now during this time my wife came home, and I was walking her toward the bedroom when Abby said that. "My pregnant wife with me," I said, calmly. "I have different feelings about that and will elaborate further shortly," or something like that. Then I laid my wife down and got her water, turned on her symphonic covers of popular songs and walked back to the table and said something like, "You are out of your effing mind, have you even been listening?" I made it clear I was done with this nonsense. We all were, and kind of lost it asking she did not hear us last time because her head was up her ass. She was stunned silent, "What a beautiful sound," and looked at me while I, admittedly with little filter, explained what Sally and I thought of our time with her and her attempts to force us to love her without even getting to know us. She started crying and stood up and shouted, "Then what was this even for?" John asked what she meant, if she meant them, and he started to freak out. She was frantic and said she meant delaying the wedding. Because, and I'm pouring another drink to write this, it was a ploy. My ex-wife and her decided if I had more time I would come around. Apparently my ex told her not to worry about the money because I'm loaded. She has always been bitter I make so much more than I did when we were married, as if that is out of spite rather than my career arc. I think she did that on purpose, frankly. But she not only told me that lie, she and my ex told John as well. He was distraught. Repeating "You lied to me" as she tried to spin it, but he was letting it out about how much he has defended her and covered for her, and she lied to him too. She was defensive and blamed my ex for telling her things and me for being stubborn. She yelled, "Why can't I just effing call him dad?" And, finally, after so long, I heard John respond, "Because he is not your effing dad." She started crying and something about his being the one that told she could call me that, and he said he told her she might be able to eventually, but he had told her again and again to slow down. She started sobbing and went to sit on her chair but missed and fell on the floor. Appreciating physical humor to break the tension, I admittedly chuckled and hid my mouth behind my drink. This all led to a lot of sobbing. I said I needed to check on my wife, and as I walked out she was repeating, "I just want him to be my dad too." I came out and he was walking her to the door and apologized. I said not to. They left. He came over a few days later and said they had a long talk at home. He even asked her if she would have dated him if there was never a chance of being in the family. He believed her when she said yes, but she admitted I was a big draw as well. I was the kind of dad she always wanted. My relationship with Sally is what she always wanted, and the way she said it gave John doubts that she loves him for him. I talked about marriage counseling, how his mother and I tried it, and, while it did not save us, it provided clarity and an impartial voice. I pointed out they both like coming to me, but I cannot be impartial, and if they are trying then they need to do it for real. Abby texted asking if I was the one who suggested therapy. I responded with, "Does it matter if John wants to?" She asked why it is so bad she wants to know what I think, and I just said John is the man whose opinion should matter most to her. They fought due to the text. She agreed to the counseling and the wedding has been postponed. I may have done a dance. So they are in counseling. He said she struggles, but I obviously do not know details. She is pressing for me and Sally to go to a session with her. Sally told her she did not want to hear Sally unfiltered, and I am not interested. Abby has been leaving Sally alone. She stopped texting me except for the occasional general question, which includes some attempt to go deeper. My wife still occasionally spends time with her because she is very into her pregnancy, more so than I like, but it is my wife's call. So that is where we are. Sorry it was so long, but alcohol makes for a poor editor. Update 3. My time has been largely caring for my wife. I tend to dote, I know. We are having a boy. We are really excited, though neither of us really had gender preference. I have raised both and both experiences were wonderful. Now we are discussing names, who we are going to honor. I thought everything had been quiet, but recently found my wife crying and found out I was wrong. Given how busy I have been with work, and my wife knowing I would be free again once we got into this month, my wife has kept this to herself. Apparently Abby has been pushing for one Thanksgiving this year. Things have been quiet with Abby. My son said the wedding blowing up woke her up, and that therapy had been helping. But then this. My understanding is that while John has been talking less with his mother because of all that happened, Abby did the opposite. From my wife's telling, Abby dropped by one day with my ex-wife. My wife intensely dislikes my ex-wife because of lies she spread about my first marriage ending due to infidelity with her, despite there being no infidelity and the linear nature of time making it impossible for us to have slept together back then. Before anyone asks, my ex-wife does not actually think there was infidelity. I would get into that, but I am sure I would sound biased. Anyway, so my wife looked at our camera app, saw who it was and called my daughter. Apparently the two of them were keeping things from me because I was working 18-hour days and they did not want me dealing with anything else. I wish they had not done that, but I appreciate the thought. I am really lucky to have such caring people around me. My daughter called her mom and said something that made them leave in a hurry. She will not tell me what, but she smiles when I ask. I called John, but he was dealing with some hard work news, so I just was there for him and left the other alone. The next day Abby came back, alone this time. My wife saw it was her and asked her what she wanted through the door. Abby said to apologize. My wife let her in, she is too nice, and after a nice talk Abby asked about the whole family getting together for Thanksgiving. My wife said of course, she assumed as much. A couple of days later in our group chat we were discussing details, who brings what, and Abby asks what else is needed. I say John already committed and she asked what about my ex-wife, what should she bring? In the time I have known Abby she has never made an intentional joke that funny, so I asked what she was talking about and she mentioned the whole family comment, and my daughter and I both asked what made her think we counted her as family? She actually replied she is my family. I don't have a dad who wants me, just a mom and my mom deserves to be with family on Thanksgiving. Sally replied well we'll miss you and John then. Abby asks how she can say that. Sally asks how she can be so stupid. John says not to call her stupid and I say that is fair but there is no real way she thought my wife thought she meant my ex-wife. At this point my wife had filled me in. And then. This is so stupid. She uses my son's phone to add my ex-frigging wife to the group chat. She then thanks us for the invitation and asks what she can bring. As I was typing my daughter beats me to it and asks what she thinks she is doing. She knows she is not welcome but says it less politely. My wife types you could not have thought she was included when I said family. Abby responded that she was not coming as my family but as hers. Sally let her mom have it. She already is not talking to her much and said if my ex-wife is there then she is not. I mentioned there was never a chance X was going to come and said I understand Abby and John wanting to go to their mom's house so she is not alone. John typed plans not definite. We'll let you know he has since told me that he is not going to go to his mom's place but wanted to tell Abby alone first. All I can think about is the comment about not having a dad who wants her, because it means she is still thinking about me as a dad, I believe. Just a negligent one. I mentioned that to my son and he said he noticed it too and had brought it up at therapy, because family is such a frequent topic, though I obviously do not know details. Update 4. I do not have time to elaborate right now but I am so excited I had to share this. Thanksgiving went so badly that my son called off the engagement itself and is now going to stay at our place while he figures out his next step. He came over Sunday night exhausted and asked if he could use the guest room and we talked for a couple of hours. I understand a bit more why he felt trapped now but he realizes if she does not see her issues then he cannot help her with them. I am taking him and his sister for a fun day on Saturday to just have some fun. He looks so tired and just needs some fun. Update 5. Life has been busy but great, but I have a lot of requests for an update, and people here have been really great so I figured that I should. To start, my wife and I have an adorable sleeping potato. He has made us both so happy. My wife, sleepy as she may be, is the happiest I have ever seen her. I had paternity leave and then various family took over helping my wife. My kids have been great about helping. My daughter has been having fun with her brother for the first time in a while. I am not going to provide details because my wife would not appreciate that, but I will just say that my wife had a scare late in her pregnancy which led to my kids really being there for her, and they pretty much have been since. They even got in my Mother's Day celebration for her. My wife loves it, she is really feeling the love. My kids are doing great. Great news is that my daughter and her partner are engaged. They have a very specific idea of what they want to do, and I was asked to walk both of them down the aisle. That was too much for me. I am not a big crier, but I admit I contributed to the happy tears we had while all hugging. My daughter asked my son to be her best man. They are both having a best man and maid of honor, which makes me deeply happy, because I do not think he would have been her choice a year ago. They are definitely getting their relationship back to normal. My son had work issues because of federal cuts and had to change jobs but he is really happy where he is now. I used money I had saved for his wedding and bought him a getaway trip, with the job stress following the personal stress he dealt with. My kid needed time away. No Abby, no job stress, no family. I think we are pretty great, but we spent a lot of time together and I figured he might need a week away from us too. It was not easy separating from Abby. She and his mother made it difficult for him. My ex-wife tried seeing him through Abby, and my son was having none of it, especially after a public tantrum at his old job. It was a public-facing position with his office info online. That really embarrassed him. She would not dare do that to Sally. Neither of my kids have anything to do with her. Abby made a couple of dramatic attempts to get my son back, but my son was clear with her. She has been out of his life and he is visibly relaxed. He is living in a new place, close to his new job. He even mentioned putting himself out there a little while ago. A couple of months ago a young woman joined our shop. She is very personable, funny and attractive. Our work includes receptions and work socializing, so I have gotten to know her a little. She seems fun. She has mentioned dating and being single a couple of times when we have talked, so I asked my son if he would be okay to give her his number if she was interested, and he was. They have gone out a couple of times. It does not sound like a great fit, But when he was talking about how attractive she was, I could see he was enjoying meeting new women again, which frankly all I really hoped for. It got him excited to go out again and got him some confidence back, so whatever happens it was successful as far as I am concerned. So, things are really good. And there is going to be a wedding. I have been helping plan it, their ideas of course. It feels like we have gotten through something together. Now I'm over here shepping Nahas, just overflowing with joy. Our little one, eventually an upcoming wedding, and my son smiling consistently again. I really appreciate all of you wonderful people and all of your good advice and well-wishing. Life is so much easier now. Babies require time but they are drama-free. Update 6. My daughter's wedding is pretty well planned. It is going to be relaxed and small, 40 to 50 people. My daughter is so happy with the location and how it is going. It makes me so happy. Seeing her so happy, this is the best feeling and exactly what a wedding should be. Plus my daughter has really taken to my wife helping plan it. She has a good eye for design, and it has given her something to focus on that is not our little one. Her partner joined me on an overnight fishing trip recently. We got to drink and bond. She told me that she wanted me to walk her down the aisle too. I told her I already agreed too. She was checking that my yes was sincere and not just to be nice. I told her our family is better because of her joining it and that I was deeply honored that she wanted me to. We hugged and drank and talked about how wonderful my daughter is. It really is a feeling of peace to see your child with someone who is great and who respects as well as cares for them. I know they have discussed adoption eventually. They would be wonderful parents, and my son would be a great uncle. That was my smooth transition to my son. He is doing well. He is dating a woman he met at my synagogue at a singles event. She seems very sweet. She teaches in the Hebrew school and they have gone out a few times. I am just happy he seems his old self, like before Abby. So do Abby. She is engaged and someone else's problem. My son still has some friends in common with her and someone let him know. He did not want any details but my daughter, to no one's surprise, went online, fake account, onto social media. I came home one day to her and my wife going through her pictures and posts. They have been in love for 150 years. It is the truest love of all loves. Since the invention of the kiss there have been 5 kisses rated the most passionate, the most pure, and that they left them all behind. The guy looks like an older and balder version of my son, to the point that when my daughter showed him to me she said, "Look, John really let himself go." I tapped out of looking at more, but I can tell you that her pictures have several of her with the guy's father, and yes they have captions about her dad. May God have mercy on his soul. I feel like the guy from the beginning of It Follows, foisting her on a different father to save myself and my family, but what can I say, we did not have to outrun Abby, just outrun a different father.